Welcome. My name is Carol Mixon-Crendel, and this is a holiday gift from SkillCheck. The topic of this webinar is outselling your competitors in 2020. And just to give you a little idea for those of you that don't know much about me, I have a degree in secondary education, and I used to be a full-time corporate trainer for National Self-Storage, and I started in 1984. Yes, like 8-track tape era. And I developed a 10-day training program for self-storage managers. And 4 days of the 10 that we had allotted for training, we spent on selling over the phone and on site. And we really did have some problems with the managers not doing what we trained them to do after they got out to the field. So we kind of had to figure out what was going wrong with our training. And one of the things we found was that in that initial 10-day training program, even though it was awesome, we hired this expert to come in, and he wrote this book called Making the Training Process Work. And basically what he said was that we weren't really doing a good job of following up on what was happening as far as how the managers were doing at answering the phone. So he said you need to do continuing education. You need to work on implementing the new procedures with all of the employees and how it works, and correcting errors, and whether that's submitting paperwork on the petty cash, end of month reports, and those sorts of things. But one of the things also included the phone. And he said, I think that when your people are coming out of here, they're awesome and they're answering the phone well, they're handling the role playing really well, but when they get out in the field, they weren't doing those things that they were trained to do. So this follow-up is called maintenance of behavior. And so it's really important thing to do to be evaluated on the phone on a regular basis. And I know lots of people don't really like it, but it is amazing the difference it makes. And I can say as someone, not only did I have a degree in secondary ed, but I have a degree in vocal performance. And a lot of what I do in singing, and I can tell when I'm not singing a lot or not getting lessons or not having help singing because my voice deteriorates. I'm nowhere near where I would be if I was working at it all the time. And one of the things we do in my lessons is to actually make a recording of me singing, and then I listen to it, and work on improvements. And it really makes a difference. And I think that's what's so important with the training that we do at SkillCheck. And this important of this salesmanship is so tied in to the profitability of the store. And when you're thinking about how well your store is doing, I think you may say, oh, we're 90% occupied. Well, the problem is the occupancy is sometimes, it's not always the best indicator of how the store is doing. Generally speaking, I really look at the income of the store. And I think most of the large companies, the REITs, the bigger companies, the public storages, they're doing other things to do that. So, but they're looking at effective training also. How do we get our employees to be the best they can be and sell well on the phone? And again, that's that regular follow-up and getting that feedback on training, the tasks and behaviors that you should know. And really for managers, that if you are receiving evaluations, listen to them critically. Don't be upset. And I know some people say, oh, I don't like my voice. Well, it's okay if you don't like your voice. But what I think is the important part is that you remember to listen with a critical ear with yourself and be able to say, you know what, I can work on that. I can improve that. Because the more you practice to improve, you will. And it's not just making sure if you're answering the phone, you're thinking, oh, I answer the phone all the time. I could say to you, I sing in the car all the time, but that doesn't make me a better singer. What makes me a better singer is when someone says, hey, if you do this, you can be better at this. I'm consistently learning how to improve and how to have a better sound. And what I'd like you to do is think about your phone call and how you can do a better sales presentation for the customer. So, what I find sort of hard sometimes is the self-storage job is really crazy because you have to have such a real variety of skills. So I start by looking for people that have great personalities. But the fact is that it can be really, really difficult to find people that can do all the different things that make storage so unique. And it has to be a person that can multitask. And I know you guys have worn all these hats, the salesman, the janitor, the bookkeeper, you feel like a policeman out there sometimes when you're going around the properties telling people you cannot live in the space. I know they think they're shocked. They're like, oh, really? We can't live here? Your most important job is still selling. And I have been at stores before where I was working with the managers and we would be talking and the phone would ring like, gosh, I wish that phone would stop ringing. The manager would say something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like ringing a bell every time a phone rings with a potential customer. So think about that. Remember, your most important job is your sales job. And I think it's so interesting. I love to look at statistics and I found some great ones on how we lose customers. And 80 or 68% of the time we lose customers from a bad service experience. And that is on the phone, that's in person, and it's just not good. And look, the price is only 17%. And I know a lot of people that managers that are at stores that are, the rent is expensive. They think, oh, we're just losing people because we're the highest in town. Well, I look, if you look at this, it's really only 17%. I pay a lot for things, a lot more maybe than I could other places because I want convenience or clean or, a safe place to go shop, something like that. So be cognizant that not everyone is looking for the lowest price. And another one is product, 10%, and that may be because your store doesn't look good. That could be a variety of reasons. And then 5% are other issues. But keep in mind that you are the service person and you can make the difference. So, how do we actually lose the sale? You ever wonder that? Like, how did I lose that sale? Or why did that person not come in? I talked to them and I thought they were coming in. Well, first and foremost, I have actually had managers that didn't answer the phone, that sort of thought that the answering the phone, it's like, oh, well, I'm busy getting ready for an auction. So I'm not answering the calls today. I'm just letting them go to voicemail. That is a problem. You can't avoid sales calls. And letting sales calls just roll over to a call center or to your answering machine, not a good idea. And also just poor phone sales and service techniques. That's how you lose a customer. And if you're too busy with operation management or the back end activities like cleaning, filing, delinquent management, these things are all important to the store, but it's not what sustains it and really produces more customers. So make sure you have your priorities straight. There are just some people that just don't like selling over the phone. And unfortunately, there have been times that I didn't find out till afterwards that people have said, in fact, I hired this really young girl not too long ago, and she was, I thought, very, very well spoken, beautiful. She just had such a great way of interacting with people. I was so impressed with her. And she got out to the store. The manager said she was doing really well. We got our first skill check evaluation on the phone. And I think she got a 23. She gave the size and price. That's what the customer asked for. So she just gave the size and price and hung up. And that happened for the second month, very similar. So we had a remedial training in my office, and during that training session, we went around the room and we got to her, and she said, "Yeah, I just sort of have to admit that I hate answering the phone." And I paused and I kind of looked at her like, "Okay, I made a huge hiring mistake." I realized then in every interview, I should be saying, do you like to answer the phone? Is the phone important for you? And now we do all new hire calling that we do. When we call new hires, we ask them questions. We really look just 5 little questions, just trying to find out how good they are on the phone and how well spoken they are on the phone, because that is so important in this job. And if they can't do that and impress us on the phone when we're sort of scheduling an appointment for a job or a job interview, then I think, you know what, we don't need them. and it's a good test. That's at least that's my little way of doing it. So, and some of what my concern was just like the lack of enthusiasm and personality on the sales call, and that was one of this girl's problem. And what she said was, I'm really good at texting, and but I've never really answered the phone much. And I think we have a lot of younger people that are coming up with maybe very few or not very good of sales skills, I guess, on the phone, because they haven't used the phone as much as older people have, because we're used to answering and talking and interacting on the phone and not so much on text. I do a lot on text now myself, but sometimes I'm like, please answer the phone to my kids, because like I need to hear them. I need them to hear me and how serious I am or whatever it is. So be careful when you're talking on the phone, and focus. Be careful, when you're in the process of really not focusing too much on the lowest price, or be afraid if you're the highest price. Really work on engaging those customers rather than just selling them, feeling like you're selling the whole time. Engage and interact with them. And one of the other things that I feel like it causes a lost sale is just the fact that the call is unorganized, and it just lacks some of an ease of flow. And that flow is so important, because unorganized, the call process causes that. And that's why I like to have the greeting, asking inquiring questions. You counsel them with the features and benefits, you invite them down, and then you close the call. So those are our 5 steps. But you've got to also follow up with any sales calls or internet leads. If you can't even wait, even there's some great statistics out on about this too, is even waiting 6 minutes to 30 minutes means you could have lost a customer to someone else who is answering the phone or is interacting. So whether you're in self-storage or another business, even in self-storage, people are like, oh, in self-storage, we have to call back in 6 minutes. Yes, that's how quickly you need to call back. That means you need to monitor the phones, and if someone has left a message, or look and see. Even on the internet, people want quick responses. The longer you wait, the less likely are you going to get those customers. So I think there's also a customer triage. And I mean, when you're talking about assisting customers, and this is kind of the biggest question I'm asked, or the sort of a difficult question managers have, is like when you have people in the office, you have people on the phone, you have, things going on in the office, and there are days that are like crazy days. And especially those of you that are on first of the month, you may be taking payments those days. You're trying to deal with delinquents, lots of, the gate's not working. There's so many things that can be happening, right? But there is a triage, and a triage, just like if you were in a hospital and they have a certain triage. If you are not very sick, you could wait there for hours until the people who are really sick get in and get helped first. I think sometimes it doesn't even seem like anything's a priority there. So it is very important to let every customer know that they're important. But now the potential customers first, whether they're on the phone or in person, they are your first, the top priority. Your current customers next, because the current customer's already there. They'll have to have a patience if they are coming in after you're on the phone with another customer, or with the selling with the customer. They're second, and they've come in after you've already started the call. And the delinquent customers, I've heard people say, oh, the delinquent customer's on the other line, I need to catch this call. I mean, that has been on a mystery shop call where they hung up on a potential customer to get a customer that's delinquent. I think that's ridiculous. Okay, first off, you have their stuff in storage. You should have it overlocked. And frankly, they may or may not pay. I don't think whether you get them on the phone right then, they're going to leave a message and you probably can or cannot get them back. But the fact is that these potential customers are so important. So keep that in mind. And you see the bottom of this little triage here, the owner, supervisor, whoever is over you in the company. If they're calling you saying, hey, how's it going? You should not have a conversation with them. The first thing you could say, and what I'd like to say, which I don't always say, I used to forget sometimes, I'd be in a hurry and not ask this, but I used to say, oh, hey, are you working with a customer? Are you busy with a customer? Because that should be the first thing I'm concerned about, to show also to my employees that the customer comes before me. And that's the truth. The customer always comes before me. So here's your triage. If you're not sure about it, just let your owner know. That's where they stand, okay? So don't avoid answering the office phone. And again, I can tell you that maybe that's not all of you out there, but there are some of you that are like, okay, don't worry about the phone. We'll get that later. And part of being a great manager is learning how to work with the customer, take a payment, interact, and do all of these things, juggle all of these things at the same time. I know it's not easy, but missed sales calls are very expensive. Just to get that phone to ring, it costs a lot of money. So you want to be very careful about how you handle this triage of answering the phone. And most customers won't call you back if no one answers. And maybe that's true even if it goes to an answering machine. Some people don't even leave messages. They'll just go to the next place and call them. So potential sales are just too valuable to miss. And 26% of potential customers will not even call you back if the phone isn't answered. And the younger caller is even less likely to leave a message. They don't like to leave messages. I'm not sure why. Even my own kids. I said, "Why didn't you leave me a message?" They're like, yeah, we don't do that, Mom. So there I go. So lost sales are really expensive. And I wanted to give you an example. And this is now, and you can figure this out for yourself, but I just gave you some examples here. If you have a 10 by 10 space and it's selling for $120, which is like the national average, the average length of stay of most storage properties is about 6.6 months. Yours may be longer. If you have a brand new store, it's shorter because there's really no history, but you can figure that out too. In fact, you can get a lot of statistics from your software to be able to tell you how much or how long the average length of stay is for most customers. So, and if your phone sale techniques aren't really good, you could be losing almost $800 in potential revenue. Lost sales are very expensive. So, and I don't want you to be afraid to sell to the customer that's storing with you. And it doesn't matter whether you have sort of the Taj Mahal of self storage, like the StoreQuest here, that's just a beautiful store. Or if you've got this storage property out and it looks like Nevada somewhere, is my guess. I don't know, could be Arizona too. um, you've got gravel driveways, no fence. But I am sure if I was selling that property, it would rent up too, because it's going to be convenience 24 hours a day, no crime, we get a good look. And I would be selling the store on the right as heavily as I'm storing the one on the left. But the interesting thing is if you are a good salesperson, you can rent up that store on the right just as easy as you can on the left. Because even if you have a super nice property, if you're not telling people and selling people on what you have and how great it is and how many great amenities you have, you can be beaten out by the store on the right if you've got a good salesperson there. So don't be afraid to let customers know what you've got. I wanted to give you a great example of this because I had a store. Actually, I did a feasibility study on some caves in Hawaii. And this was many years ago, but the gentleman that was talking to me, he said, come out and see what you think. And so if you can see the picture on the bottom right, this is a picture of the caves as I saw them when I first got there to do the study. And I looked at that and I thought, there is not a woman in the world that will store here. Not one. I was pretty sure. Okay. So I kept thought about it. And I looked at it and the prices, because it's in Hawaii, of leasing these caves was really low. And I thought, well, I don't know. I was thinking about, and I thought, okay, what about it if we painted it like a navy gray and then named each of the caves like one of the ships from Pearl Harbor. So what about that? And then make it more of a historical thing and clean it up. And you can see what I did with it on the right. We can see the USS Arizona here. For a while we had to use generators because we had no lights inside there, so you see the generator out front. But you can see how clean we made him look and how we put ramps up that made it really nice. But again, these are things that you can do to make it appealing to the customer. And people like to rent there. And you can go on waikeleselfstorage.com and you can see there I sold the store to one of my friends that she's a Hawaiian too, and she's awesome. And she's doing a great job with it now. So let's talk about a little bit more about the pricing issue, because I wanted you to see, like at Waikele Self Storage, The average space at Waikele is on the 10, and I just took this off just yesterday, 10 by 10 unit, and there's only two left, and they're $199 a month. That's an awesome price for a 10 by 10 in a cave in Hawaii, isn't it? I think that's amazing. Whoop, whoop. So let's just say 6 months of on an average, actually in at this location, I believe it's 8 or 9 months average length of stay. We have a lot of military people that are out and gone, and they're so or they leave their stuff there. So, but a 10 by 10, an average for 6 months would be $1,194. That's a big sale. So every time that phone rings, it's $1,000 sale. Or $1,500 sale if you went for that 20 by 5. Isn't that an odd size, a 20 by 5? It still sells. I don't know. There's probably just one left of that unit like that. So, but remember, every time you pick up that phone for that sale, it's going to be an expensive sale in the sense of just dollars of lost revenue if you don't handle it well. So the phone is just so important. And no matter what, and I know people say, oh, it's internet driven now. People are still calling. People still call from the internet. They look at the internet information and then they call. So 41% of salespeople count their phone as the most effective sales tool. And in self-storage, I believe that number is way higher than that. I hope it is, because I think most managers know how important getting that phone to ring is and answering it well. So people who are looking for self-storage really do want to pick up the phone and talk to someone, and they want to know information. And it's not just about the lowest price. They may just be shopping for price at first, but not all storage places are equal. Just like I've shown you in the several of the pictures you've seen. I mean, if you heard me talking about a cave versus that StoreQuest versus the space that or the storage space that only had the buildings out there, those are totally different products. So you have to be able to sell what you have and talk about and if your prices are higher, you need to be able to explain that if you were like looking at those three examples that I gave you as competitors, because if you're looking at another storage property in Hawaii and it's 300 versus this storing in a cave, well, yes, it's going to be a different price. So, but the phone is so important. And that's probably why about 40% of all salespeople count on the ringing phone as their best friend. And it should be. And I thought 40%, that seems low to me. I hope all of my clients and their employees think, wow, I mean, this is like 100% or 95% of my job is this phone ringing and answering it well and getting more people to rent. So returning sales calls and internet leads, I think this is another area where we really miss sometimes, is really the chance of turning that sale or call or internet lead into a sale drops 21% if the salesperson responds in 30 minutes instead of 5 minutes. That's amazing. 30 minutes, because sometimes you go out on the property and you come back in 30 minutes. So that means I think you need to have a phone out on the property. You need to make sure you're using that phone, taking a list of vacant units with you out on the golf cart when you go with your phone. So make sure you return calls as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the less likely it is you're going to make that sale. So it's interesting because answering the phone when it rings is sort of inconvenient, frankly, but it's profitable. And it always seems to ring kind of at the worst times in self-storage. It seems like you go hours without it ringing. Then all of a sudden in the afternoon, busy, 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 you take 10 calls. And then customers are coming in and all things are happening. They're like, wait a minute, this morning, I was twiddling my thumbs. Well, you should not be twiddling your thumbs. There's always something to do. If you can lean, you can clean. That's what my daughter's like, oh, mom, please don't tell me that. It's her first job. My daughter's 17. Yep, she's 17, and it's her first job in self-storage, and she's working a place, and I go and I drop her off lunch, and I'm like, you know what? The mat up front's dirty. Hey, don't forget to, vacuum the mat up front. I just tell her, and I said, you shouldn't be sitting there. She goes, Mom, I'm calling delinquents. I said, oh, okay. I didn't know what you're doing, but if there's nothing else to do, you should be cleaning. So yeah, I should not be her boss. So why are customers frustrated? Why do you think customers are so frustrated when they call us? Do you wonder that? Sometimes I hear managers tell me, "Oh, people are not very, they just want a price and they want to get off the phone and they're angry and frustrated. They just seem not nice people." Our customers are frustrated because this whole idea of moving or using self-storage, it's in the top 10 most stressful life events. So it's number one is death of a family member. Two is divorce, marital separation, imprisonment, personal injury or illness, marriage. I'm not sure why that's there, but I don't know. But yes, I probably know why that's on there. But look, moving is number 7 of the most stressful life events. So, okay, and a lot of times when you see this moving here, they're also doing one of these other things. They may have gotten a divorce, they may have gone to prison, there could have been a lot of things happening here. In fact, I actually was doing I was doing an audit at a store in San Diego, and a guy came in and he goes, "Yeah, I need to pay on my son's account." And he said, "I don't know the unit number or anything like that, but I need to pay." And so the manager was like, "Well, what happened to your son?" And he says, "Well, he was incarcerated." And he said, "So I'm going to pay for him for a few months, and then I'm going to try to figure out how we're going to get the stuff out because I really don't have the money to do this." But just think, I mean, the reason he put it in there to begin with was because he was going to jail. And that's like the first time I've actually ever heard someone say that, but I'm sure you guys out there have heard that before. But look at some of these other things: dismissal from work, like they got fired, retirement. We have lots of people who retire and then move somewhere else and put their stuff in storage and can't let go of that stuff, and a change in financial state. So if you're a salesperson, if you're talking too much and interacting on the phone too much, make sure you're listening, because you're listening for these stressful events. You're trying to make their life easier. You're not just running through a presentation. You are really working at interacting and connecting with that customer on a level that they will appreciate, because you're solving not only their storage needs, but you're being empathetic about problem solving in understanding where they're coming from. In fact, I had to move my mom to she fell and broke her hip, and she had to go into I don't know, it's kind of like I'd say it's an old folks home, but it's like a beautiful hotel there now. But just the fact of moving her and getting all of that stuff happening, I was just out of my mind with stuff to do. And I'm sure I missed like a month or two of work because it was just overwhelming, everything that I had to do. So this is kind of why our customers are frustrated to begin with, but don't let that stop you at being a good salesperson. So along the way, you're not just going through your sales presentation. You have to interact and connect with the customer on this kind of level. So don't forget to organize your sales presentation, because the organization is going to help you a lot. And even when customers tell you like, "Oh yeah, my mom fell and broke her hip and now we're having to put all of her stuff in storage." Which, by the way, when my sister recommended storage and she goes, "Oh, you can get us some storage," I'm like, oh no, we're not putting one item in self-storage. So I do have a couple of her boxes in my garage right now, but we do not have self-storage because I know if I get it in there, I'll never get it out. So organize the sales presentation. Make sure your message is organized and it has like the greatest impact, because this person on the other end of the phone is your audience, and you want to encourage them to come down and see you. And just your tone of voice, your friendliness, the way that you interact with the customer, it really makes a huge difference in your presentation. And if almost any structure will help you get your arms around the information to prioritize it and to organize it. So think about that. But what I really like, and I've started early on in self-storage, we start out with the greeting, to be friendly and say the company name, ask good inquiring question. And it doesn't have to be, what do you want? What do you want? When do you want it? Why do you want it? So you want to try a nicer way and just say, "What are you looking for?" If they say, "How much your 5x10s?" And just tell me a little bit about what you're storing, because and I'll look up that size to see if we have it available while you're in it. And then I get them off track. And because you always use the excuse of looking up, "Let me see if that's available. And what is it you're storing?" Because we do have a bunch of different sizes. And I've had stores, I had a store that had like 84 different sizes in Hawaii. And the weird thing about that is that we truly did. And we actually we were doing it by square footage there because, yeah, we just, space was expensive there. And so that's the way we did it. So during that inquiring stage, it's really important. And then you get to counsel them on all the features and the benefits that you have. And you can invite them down in a way that makes them want to come visit you, not just like, well, you could come look at it, or yeah, I don't know what you've got. You can, you better, you can come down, I guess. Those aren't really invitations. It's like someone inviting you to lunch or to dinner or something. You can tell the difference when they really mean it. So make that invitation meaningful. And when you close the call, remind them of the name of your store and that you're looking forward to seeing them. So, selling solutions, I think so much of what is the way you organize your call is to be able to just try to sell solutions and to make it easy for them. So, this whole process, that's why I don't say that there's a script, because basically you're just organizing it by greeting them and asking the inquired questions, counseling them on how, what size they need, or possibly a couple of sizes they could use depending if they stack and pack well, inviting them down, making sure they know how to get there, especially if you have competitors, to getting around the competitors. Those are all so important to getting that solution and getting them there. But you're trying to, save them time and money and give them value for what they're storing. You also need to remember the benefits of storing, because when you're talking about the store, I think when you have a beautiful place, like look at this one on the top, you could almost eat off those floors. Not that I would, I'm just saying they're really nice and clean. It's a great looking store. And this is, hideaway self storage here, and you see their truck. If you have a free move in truck, you've got to tell about that, because the move process, or the moving process, is so difficult. Giving them a truck to help them get in, it just makes a huge difference. But you're all of these things you're talking about, the security of their goods, the convenience of storing with you, and how they can save money. And that truck is a great way that's how Hideaway does it here. So there's some great benefits to storing, but you have to relate them to those features. And sometimes I put the benefit first. Oh, we have some great security here to keep your goods secure, or things to keep your goods secure. So there's a lot of different ways you can say it. Find something that's comfortable for you. I really want to thank you for listening to this, and I wish you a wonderful, happy New Year and holiday. And again, just want to thank you from all of the office staff that I have. Thank you so much for listening. And we have a lot of new webinars we're going to be rolling out for 2020. I hope you look forward to seeing all of those, because I'm going to just do some amazing work. My son is really tech savvy, so he's helping me do a lot of webinars and some videos. So we look forward to a wonderful 2020 and helping you grow your profits.